Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. We have some breaking news regarding Marcus Rashford to Aston Villa. We also have loads of other topics on the table as well. Patrick DORGU arriving in Manchester and completing his medical. Tyrell Malacia agreeing to terms with Benfica. And will it be Mathys Tel next to replace Marcus Rashford for the rest of the season? Very, very interesting times. But obviously, this is huge breaking news with Rashford, Sam. We had reports from Laurie Whitwell and David Ornstein earlier on in the day about them being close to agreeing to sign Rashford on loan. Still work to do, but they're expected the forward to join, likely to include a buy option plus significant salary coverage and bonuses. And then in the last 10 minutes, I want to say, Romano has just come out saying Rashford has agreed personal terms with Aston Villa. Deal is imminent after initial green light in the morning, which is obviously the next step. And we've had Chris Wheeler coming out with a bit of a tap-in saying Rashford has said goodbye to his teammates and staff at Carrington ahead of completing his loan move to Villa. But just on the surface of things, is this a good move for Marcus, do you think?
It's probably not the move he originally wanted, is it?
We know that was Barcelona, right?
I think AC Milan was in there as well, wasn't it? I think he wouldn't have minded that. Obviously, AC Milan went where he wants Kyle Walker was signed because they have a limit on non-EU players. So they filled their quota. Barcelona, I know they were interested and he wanted to go, but I didn't see how the fuck they pulled that off. Considering they can't register players and they're struggling to get rid of Ansu Fati and Eric Garcia because they don't want to leave the club, even though the club wants to get rid of them, which is a bizarre thing to happen, but there you go. So I never saw it happening. So I thought he's probably going to end up staying at United because there's no other option besides Saudi on the table, and he doesn't want to do that. So for Villa to come in, it looks like it makes sense because they've just let Duran go for 77 million euros. So they need somebody in that forward line. So it makes sense for him to bring somebody in, and Rashford fits the bill. He's Premier League proven. He's English. Emery apparently a big fan of his, and he was thinking. I read the John Duran article after he left. Apparently, he was a difficult person to work with, but Emery was trying to get the best out of him. Maybe it's a similar thing to with Rashford, bring him back to his best, that kind of stuff. So makes sense from a Villa point of view. I imagine it wasn't Rashford's sort of first choice, but when you look at it, it's like the prospect: do you want to stay at United and probably not play? Or do you want to go play football because he wants to be in the England squad for the thing next year? This is his best opportunity, so I think that's why he's taking it.
I'm glad you mentioned Duran because that has been a huge chess piece in this, because obviously losing a player like that, we know he's super talented. There was a lot of clubs that was very interested in him. With him going, I imagine Emery, knowing the kind of character that he is, very fiery, would said, listen, you're not letting him go if you don't bring someone else in. And they've got to be like top tier. Whether it's a loan or not, that's fine, and we can assess it in the summer. But I want someone in who's dynamic, quick, is an attacker, and obviously Marcus Rashford fits into that bill. It's going to be expensive, but look, they've just made, what was it, 70 million selling Duran to Al Nassr. Al Nassr is Ronaldo's team as well, right?
Yeah. They bought Duran for 14.5 million, I believe, from Chicago Fire. So that's like it's 55 million pound profit on it.
Yeah, because we got linked with him. I remember there was a good few years ago for £10 million we could have bought him for.
Right.
And obviously, United's scouting network, or people ignoring the scouting network, more to the point, was the case. But I think this is really unprecedented with Villa. No one expected this. Everyone was talking about AC Milan, Dortmund, Barcelona. I didn't see them getting mentioned in kind of a brief once. So for them to come in, it just kind of shows this transfer window, Sam. You never know what's going to happen, do you? Genuinely.
Yeah, like I think like Chelsea and the Garnacho thing, that was like sort of that's disappeared, hasn't it? Like seems like it's completely off the table. And then we were but I don't think anybody had a bingo card United going for Mathys Tel. Don't think anybody had that in the bingo card, and now that's the thing. And then the Rashford for the Villa thing, it just means you can't really guess what is going to happen in this window, especially in the final days, which we're in. It's like 2 days to go. And Rashford's going to Aston Villa, which if you just took everything out of it, you'd be like, oh, that's a step down for him. But then you look at it, they're in the Champions League, they're above us in the league, they're playing better football, they've got a better chance of winning something. So for Rashford, it is a step up. So yeah, it is. I've just read as well, I don't know how legit this guy is. Luca Bendoni saying Aston Villa covers 60% of Marcus Rashford's wages, so that's good for United as well. Like over half his wages off the books, which helps us there.
Well, it says he's a part of the Marcio's team, so I mean, take that for what it is. But if they're covering 60% and he's on, just call it 300 grand, because I think it is a little bit less because of the Champions League clauses in there. Say it's 300 grand, obviously 50% would be 150, just over 150 grand that they'll be paying. You'd be worked out per month. It's millions again in it, effectively. But that kind of leads, Sam, and segues into, well, if Marcus is going, obviously he's been a player that hasn't featured in the team. But whatever way you look at it, you're losing another attacking player. Anthony's gone as well. I think that Tel deal now has a massive chance of going through, doesn't it?
Because I saw Florian Plettenberg was saying United have expressed interest verbally and said they want to make an offer. I imagine now if the Rashford deal gets done, they'll go in with an actual offer for Mathys Tel and be like, this is what we want. Maybe we're an option to buy or something like that. Blah, blah, blah. You're going to play where Rashford used to be, that kind of stuff. And that's the deal will get done. He was left out of the squad, wasn't he, for the Bayern Munich game? So there's interest in there. So, yeah, I imagine that speeds up quite a bit now that the Rashford deal seems like it's on its way to getting done.
Yeah. Well, what does everyone else think? There's quite a lot of you in the chat. Give us your thoughts on the situation. Are you happy for Marcus? Are you glad we've got him away? Because it's not only the immediate thing we can discuss. It's also the long-term effect of him just not being around the squad. I'm not saying he's a toxic player or anything of that kind of ilk, but it's obviously it's better for us if he's just not kind of there lingering and Amarin's being asked every week like he has been doing. What's going on with Marcus? Are you going to get him back into the squad? What's he eating for dinner? That kind of shit. It'll go off to Villa, and I can already see the narrative of if he goes there and starts doing well, similar to was it Lingard at West Ham? Do you remember
Sancho as well?
Sancho, of course, yeah. And it's like, you should have kept hold of him. It's like, mate, we're trying this for fucking years.
Yeah, it's been going for a while. Ilanga's another one. Ilanga had a fantastic game today for Forest, incredible. Like 7-0 against Brighton. Looked incredible. Again, another player who played with us, just couldn't get there. But sometimes a player doesn't make it at United. It's sometimes their fault, sometimes it's United's fault. Like, it's never either or. It's not always United's fault when a player doesn't step up. Like, it's not always the United's fault. Sometimes it is. Yeah. And sometimes they need to move away to be the player that they United identified in the first place and saw a talent in. You've seen that with Ilanga, he's got to wait. You've seen that with Scott McTominay, he's got to wait. And they've stepped up and become the players that we all thought they could be. Sometimes it takes a move away, and maybe that is for Rashford. They'll go to Villa and absolutely smash it. Maybe.
It's saying here, but a few more details. Emery's personally spoken to Rashford on the phone. Players attracted by project, Champions League football. It just makes sense, doesn't it? I think the more you kind of read about it. Random guy, amazing move in my opinion. Red Jedi saying, besides Rashford going Villa over Barca and Dortmund, it looked like my premonition is coming to play. Tel coming in on a loan with an option. You called it, sir. Great deal from Chive. Works out well financially as well. Rashford can work on regaining form, and we'll see what happens in the summer. Hopefully there's an option to buy. It's a win-win situation. Rashford gets to play, and we get to see the club finally back the manager. Yeah, that's a great point as well, which we haven't really touched on. A lot of the time, Sam, with Pogba's and Martial's and even Shaw's, for example, if Mourinho was a prime example of wanting players to go and bring in certain players. This is like the real first evidence of it, innit?
Yeah, it's like cold, calculated, isn't it? It's like, manager's not having this guy, right? We get him out, and it's done. And it's literally he's got him out. Same with Malacia, like which we'll touch on in a bit. We've seen Anthony go. So you've seen all these players that the manager's not having, and he can get replacements for. They've gone, and they've backed him. So yeah, I'm glad that they're doing that. And how many times has it been where we've just sort of backed the player and we've got rid of the manager, and it's not got us anywhere, has it? Like it hasn't. So I'm glad we're going this way instead of going, no, he signed a new deal. He's worth a lot of money. He's an academy prospect, blah, 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 blah. You're just going to have to work with him, and then the manager ends up losing his job. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad that's not happening here.
And let's not pretend that we all love a new player coming in as well. If this does mean that Tel comes in, he will if he comes in, he'll be a player that actually features in the team and actually plays and contributes to an attacking line that's lacking a lot. And if you look at some of his stats, 9 goals and 6 assists across the Bundesliga and Champions League, despite mostly featuring as a substitute and averaging an eye-catching 1.15 goal involvements per 90 minutes. So everyone who's asking, well, he's not playing for Bayern, it's, there's context to it. He's not playing to Bayern because the attacking players that are there, Sam.
That was the first, when I posted about it on our YouTube, the first one was like, why do we want a Bayern Munich player who can't ever get in the team? I'm like, he's 19, and the guy ahead of him is Harry Kane, arguably one of the greatest European goal scorers of all time. Yeah. And you expected him to get in over him when they paid nearly, 80 million they paid for Harry Kane? Bayern? Yeah. It's not going to happen. It's just not it's such a strange thing that people just attach a negative because he's 19, he's not getting in the team over Harry Kane. And ahead of that, he's got Musiala, who again, one of the greatest European prospects in world football.
Absolutely.
Like, you've got to look at it, like you said, context, look at it in what's going on. Don't just look at it going, oh, he's not starting games for Bayern. You got to look beyond that. Like, it's not as simple as that.
Obviously, we'll have further developments on this over on our Instagram, Twitter as well. But obviously, whilst we're live, if anything extra does add to it and it's completely agreed, then we'll come back to it and we'll discuss it. But we have had other little bits as well today, Sam. We've had Patrick DORGU, who's been in Manchester, signing all the details, interview, medical, etc. Exciting that that's finally done now as well.
Yeah, no, it's good. It was delayed a little bit, wasn't it? Because he ended up being... Why did we delay it for that game? And then he was on the bench. He didn't even start yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. It was certain paperwork and little bits, I think.
It's weird. But anyway, he's doing his medical today. Apparently it won't be available for Sunday, but should be available for
Leicester.
The FA Cup game. Yeah.
Leicester, yeah.
So, yeah, let's see what he's about. I don't imagine he starts against Leicester, but let's see what he's about, training and stuff like that. Yeah, excited.
Yeah, I think a couple of players will really freshen things up a little bit because it does feel a bit stale at the minute when we're seeing if Mesraoui at left wing back and then, they're chopping and changing constantly, aren't they? Even with, obviously, we've had news on Malacia as well, who's agreed to join Benfica on loan. So then he's gone out. DORGU's had that like-for-like replacement as that left wing back, you would think, right? So that's fine.
Arguably an upgrade as well, you would say.
Oh, yeah, for sure, definitely an upgrade in a minute, especially when you talk about athleticism and pace and power. DORGU is a significant upgrade on Malacia, but Anthony going, I don't see a player replacing him necessarily. Rashford going, Tel coming in is the kind of thing we're looking at here. Anthony
wasn't playing, was he? To be fair, no. He was on the bench and he'd come on for 5-10 minutes, and it's just I think those minutes could be taken up by somebody else, arguably. So I don't have an issue with that at all. Don't need a replacement for that. But yeah, Rashford, this deal gets done, which looks like it's going to be. Have to bring someone in. Have to. You cannot be leaving us that light in attack if Rashford goes out the door and Anthony. You can't be doing that.
I don't think they would have. There's no chance Ineos and Amorim are going through with this Rashford thing if they don't bring someone else in, because that is a massive gap. I mean, imagine it's probably, I don't know, what's the total package worth, 6-month loan for Tel? It's going to be a couple of £1 million, right? You save that in Rashford's wages anyway, so there's your gap. You've got the money. You can't have no bullshit about, we can't spend, we can't do this. Fuck off. You just got rid of loads of wages off your bill. So
you got Anthony's wages off your books. What were they paying? 60, 80%? What were they paying?
Yeah. 80%, I think you said.
Malacia is going to Benfica, so I imagine they'll pay a big portion of his wages as well. Yep. So there you've got even more. You've got 3 persons set of wages proportionally. So there's the money there, I think. So yeah, hopefully something gets done and it gets done quick, because we definitely need reinforcements in that area.
Do you think it's a good move for Rashford, Villa? Do you think he'll do well there?
Hope so. I mean, it benefits United if he does.
Yeah.
If he does well, if there is an option and then they trigger it and we get some money for him, we get his full wages off the books. It's great for us. We can go out and buy a permanent replacement, whether Mathys Tel works out, we buy him, or we use that money to go get an experienced striker, whatever it is. I think it works out. It gets him back in the England squad if he's playing well, which benefits England, benefits him. I think it's good for everybody. And like you said, you touched on the possible sort of not toxicity from Rashford himself, but him being around, not playing, constant questions, all that goes away as well. It works for everybody, really, doesn't it? Like everybody benefits. I don't see a negative in it. Obviously, it's sad because we grew up with Marcus Rashford, saw him from day dot coming in, and you thought he was going to be the icon that maybe get a statue built one day, captain, all this sort of stuff. Just hasn't gone that way, unfortunately. And we've lost players like this before. Roy Keane's left the club. Ronaldo's left the club. Giggs eventually retired. Scholes eventually retired. Gary Neville. Like, we've lost big players before. We've carried on. We've survived. And we'll carry on and survive without Marcus Rashford as well.
Who won a lot more things than Marcus Rashford as well, by the way, those players that just mentioned. Yeah. We're going to stick with young talent. Ayden Heaven's confirmed his move today. There's loads of pictures, loads of quotes. And the standout quote for me saying, "I'm so proud to sign for Manchester United, one of the world's biggest clubs with a proud history of nurturing and developing young talent." That was obviously one of the biggest sways for him at the minute. This Ineos operation that's ongoing, I'm sure he probably spoken to Tyrell Malacia as well, who we also got from Arsenal. But we are stacking some young talent at the minute, aren't we?
I think that's the new direction football's going in, like getting these young talents and turning them into superstars, because we've done the old way, haven't we? We've gone out and bought the big time stars, Sancho, Cavani, that we've done that and it's not worked. And you see all these other teams, they're going out and get these rough gems and turning them into things. Brighton, Forest, Bournemouth. Like, Bournemouth went out and get Dean Howson from Juventus. He looks fucking phenomenal.
£13 million, I think
he looks.
As well.
He looks ridiculously good. They've got Semenyo and people like that. So that's the way it's going. Even City have gone out and got Savinho, a really young winger. Yeah. They've gone and got this Mamouche. They've got the two centre backs as well. This is the way I think football's going. So I think we need to be on it. And like you said, Lascelles from Crystal Palace we got, Tyrell Malacia, now Ayden Heaven. Who was the other one we got as well? Sekou Kone. Yeah. We've gone out and got all these like young players and stuff like that. Apparently, this Ayden Heaven's going to be a first teamer though. Apparently
So they were the reports that he would be not a replacement for Lissandro, but a second choice to Lissandro.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Because we don't have a left-footed sided centre half. Yeah. So whether he'll come straight in, I haven't watched loads of his development. I would rather rely on the opinions of people like Academy Scoop and these kind of guys to get real knowledge about the player. But they sound excited about him. But we always talk about them coming into the right setup and culture and environment, right? And moving someone on, for whatever people might say about Marcus in terms of talent, for moving someone on like that, you're getting rid of those kind of personalities, in my opinion, and you're making it about what Amorim has always been about, which is the core, which is the team, and playing for the team and running for the team. And those fundamental values, you can't overlook.
And young players as well. Amorim is all about young players. You look at the people at Sporting now, you had like Quenda, who we've been linked with, and that he's all about sort of young talent and bringing in players to step up. And he's also about bringing in players who may have had opportunities but not quite reached their potential. Yeah. So you look at like Gyökeres, he was playing for Coventry, playing really, really well. Previously he was at Brighton, wasn't he? And they let him go. Yep. And then he's become a superstar at Sporting. So maybe we could do that for Mathys Tel. Like, he's gone to Bayern, it's not quite worked out, comes to United and becomes a star. So you never know. We
spoke about the specifics. Why would Tel turn down a move to Tottenham, right, at the minute? Because we said they've got Dominic Solanke, they spent 60 million quid. They're not going to dethrone him. They've got Son, Kulusevski. They've actually got a lot of attacking talent.
Richarlison as well.
Richarlison, who's dog shit, but he's a number there. So he's probably looking at the dynamic. He's thinking, I'm going to get loads of minutes at United. It's a fact. Yep. You just are. Again, I haven't watched loads of him. I've started watching more of him now because obviously we've been linked with him. He's electric, man. Absolutely electric. And if he can hit the ground running with us, who knows? He might get a loan and end up permanently buying the kid, If rumours for 40, 50 million quid. Obviously, Bayern seem open to selling him at least. I mean, Daniel Levy flew over to fucking Germany, I think, and still didn't get the deal done.
That's embarrassing, that, isn't it? They've been rejected by him and is it Tomori from AC Milan? Rejected him as well.
Yeah. That Tomori thing was like, I'm going to stay at Milan, mate. You think I'm coming over there, 15th in the league?
To that mess. To that mess. Yeah.
Not a fucking chance, mate. Because again, when Van der Ven and Romero comes back, it'll be them two. So I get it. I completely get it. Just when you think you have it bad, again, we always say Tottenham are there to make us look even better, which is always nice. But like I said, we'll have further developments on this. If you can smash the like of the video for us and subscribe to the channel, we just thought we had to go live with this Rashford news breaking. It's pretty much all but done. I'm sure we'll have confirmation at some point today. That it's basically it'll be ready for the next game or be in a training session with Emery. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on other stuff incoming. It is the transfer window. It is the last couple of days. I mean, it doesn't end on Monday, is that correct?
Monday, yeah. Monday at like 11 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
I think that's the...
Yeah, so this weekend is going to be mad. Can I also say as well, we dropped our interview with Carl Anker at 12 o'clock today. So if anyone hasn't checked that out, I think Sam might have just put a link in the chat there for us.
Yep.
If anyone hasn't checked that out, please do. It's an hour conversation. We talk about strikers, Patrick DORGU. We do quick fires with him. We talk about rap and just loads of shit, basically.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good chat in it, Sam.
Yeah, fantastic. I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favourites. Like, every time we've had a Talk of the Devils guy on, it's always been fun. Laurie's been great. Ian's been great. Carl, fantastic as well. So really enjoyed it. Also, if you're a member, we're going to drop a bit of extra content from that interview that didn't quite fit in there. And it's not... there's bits of football in there, but it's not quite. It's a little bit sort of like... It was pretty much after we stopped recording. So you're getting a bit of conversation before like and after the show stopped recording. So if you want to become a member... Click the link in the description. You can become a member for like £3 a month, and you can see that extra 20. I think it's about 20-25 minutes of conversation, and you get that as a member. Nobody else is going to get that, just the members. So if you want to see it, if you're already a member, like random guys in the chat, you're going to get to see it. So if you want to see it, please do consider joining.
And we are dropping that Monday morning. Monday morning, so that'll be available for you guys. Obviously, we would have done it Sunday, but with all the things going on match day and
too much,
it's so busy this weekend. It's ridiculous. Not to mention the end of the transfer window that we already touched on. So yeah, busy. Go and enjoy the rest of your weekend, people. Marcus Rashford to Aston Villa is pretty much agreed. Crazy times, isn't it? But yeah, this is where we're at, I suppose. Take it easy, everyone. Me and Sam will see